Hello and welcome to a few book talks about potential books that you can read this semester to do your project on. All of these books offer really dynamic characters that have rich, complex lives, and the writing is really great and vivid. Um, any of these books you can hand to one of your middle school students and they would enjoy, but there are certainly different issues. So depending on what you're interested in sort of uncovering within your students, or in your analysis, you might, take a look at a couple different ones. So I'm going to give you a quick book talk on these. Okay, so the first one is A Step from Heaven by Anna. And this is about a young Jew who's 4 years old at the time that she's told she's going to leave Korea and go to Miguk, which in her language is heaven. So everyone's saying we're leaving Korea to go to heaven. So she really has in her mind um, a sense of what sort of the idyllic heaven is. But when she arrives in America, there's lots of things that are quite far from heaven, or a step from heaven, as the book is told. This is written in short vignettes, pretty quick read, 160 pages. It takes her from age 4 through high school. So in the beginning, it's quite innocent through the eyes of a 4-year-old, and it gets a little bit more complex as she gets older. The second is Joey Pigza Loses Control, and this is a really funny book. Jack Antos writes a ton of funny middle grade books, which is great for boys. Girls enjoy it too, but if you can get hooked on Jack Antos and share him with your students, they'll really appreciate that. So this is about Joey, who's in late elementary, early middle school. He's going to spend 6 weeks with his dad, who also has a similar way of viewing the world as Joey does. So Joey and his dad both have ADHD. His parents are divorced. He's going to stay with his dad for 6 weeks, and his grandma is there too, and she is quite a character. And Joey's dad has this idea to take Joey off his meds while he's with him, and so this is why it's called Loses Control. George is a new book by Alex Gino, came out last year, 2 years ago. It's Alex Gino's middle grade debut. Alex is a transgender author, and he tells the story of a girl who identifies as a boy. So in this story, the heroine of the story is, George is the character's name, but he is sort of transitioning to she, and so you'll notice some pronouns that are really interesting in the book. So she decides to reveal her true identity as the story goes on, and it has lots of theater in it too. So if you like theater and notice how it impacts the child's development, and really the whole child gets to kind of experience the benefits of taking on a new role in a theater position. The next is When Friendship Followed Me Home. If you are a fan of dogs, and a lot of your students will be too, this is a great book to give to students, but one that you might also consider. Ben is a foster kid, and so he's going to school. He avoids bullies. He spends his afternoon reading sci-fi books in the library, so you might be able to identify with that a little bit. But Ben's foster home situation changes, and then he really starts to kind of feel alone. This is a really powerful book, very beautifully written. And Anything But Typical focuses on autism and fan fiction. So it has, again, the character is a writer. Actually, both these characters are on the book. Jason is autistic, or he's on the spectrum. He's 12 years old, and he's really kind of in this neurotypical world, and he has some strategies for navigating the neurotypical people in his school. He bonds with Phoenix Bird, who likes to post stories online as he does, and he has a chance to meet her in person. So this is really exciting. And Front Desk is a new book by Kelly Yang, and her main character is Mia Tang, who is an immigrant. She works in a hotel with her parents, and she really is kind of keeping some secrets while she's there and goes to school. She doesn't want people to know that she works at the front desk, and her family are hiding immigrants in some of the rooms. So this is a great story. Then we have Booked and Best Man. So Booked is written in verse. It's 320 pages, but a really quick read. 12-year-old Nick learns the power of words. So there's lots of really great vocabulary in him. It's a really powerful story, written with a kind of less typical representation of Black students, where it's not a typical ones that have been in the news with gangs and violence and corruption and police brutality. This is a story of a pretty well-balanced, healthy Black family, and Nick plays soccer, and he's a good friend, and he's trying to impress a girl. So there's lots of typical things in here, but his parents are having a hard time. So this is a great story for that. And then the best man, another fun story in middle school. There's lots the boys do lots of pranks and things like that. But one of his uncle is marrying another man, and he gets to be the best man in this book and kind of narrates that story. So there's some also there's lots of baseball. I think there's some. I think it's set in Chicago. And these last two, Locomotion. I'm going to start with that. It's one of my go-to books. It's really short, 112 pages. It's the main character narrating it is in sort of foster care, is in a group home, and doesn't we don't really know what happened to his family, but it's sort of unraveled, and he's sort of processing his life through his writing from his teachers helping him do this. And he has his little sister who's in a different foster home, and you don't quite understand why they're in different places until the story moves on. It's a really quick read, lovely. Students finished it really successful. I think you would have a lot to unpack even if you chose the shorter book. It'd be great for your project. And the last is Takedown, and this has two narrators. It goes between a female narrator and a male narrator, both sort of in middle school, going from sort of park district club-ish, or park district kind of low stakes sports, I guess. And then once they go into middle school, they're in a club team. There's more rules. There's more at stake. And Michaela wants to wrestle like her brothers wrestled, but they don't want a girl on the team. And Lev is a boy, the other boy narrator, and he is partnered up with Michaela to wrestle. And they actually have an interesting chemistry in this, and the family's involved too. So there's lots of kind of gender issues and the role of gender and sports. So there's lots to kind of unpack if you're looking at the whole child with this one too. So lots of options here. I hope that you find something that you enjoy and that's interesting to you, and we can talk more about it. But here's a quick overview. Hope you enjoyed.